All right, welcome back to First Team Fantasy. In this episode, we're going to be covering the Seahawks at the Bengals. Another kind of ugly game. The Bengals won it 17 to 13. To start with the Seahawks side of the ball, Geno Smith was 27-41, 323 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 12.9 fantasy points. I mean, an ugly week, but at least for Seahawk receivers, if he throws 323 yards, you know there's going to be something there. But again, with no touchdowns, that hurts a lot. Tyler Lockett was actually the best receiver for the Seahawks in this game. He finished 6 catches, 94 yards, 8 targets, 15.4 fantasy points. And I know I've been a Tyler Lockett critique this season. I've loved Tyler Lockett in previous seasons. Kind of what we've seen from Michael Thomas this season, that 9 to 11 point margin. Tyler Lockett's in previous seasons has been a little bit higher. It's been like a 12 to 15 point, and he's been an every week start. But he's had shaky weeks this season. It's good to see him have a solid week. DK Metcalf left the game and did return with a hip injury, so he was
How
able.
many times have we heard that this season?
Yeah, I mean, he still finished the game with 10 targets. He had 6 catches for 69 yards, 10.9. Kind of an off week for DK, but again, when there's no touchdowns being scored through the air and he still gets 10 targets and gives you basically 11 points, I mean, you can't complain too much about that. We actually saw Jackson Smith and Ajigba get a little run in this game. He had 5 targets, 4 catches, 48 yards, 8.8 fantasy points. He still has no double-digit weeks on the season, so by no means am I starting him. He is a guy that is worth rostering just because of where they drafted him, and you're assuming as the season goes on he gets a little more acclimated. It's just tough when the other two receivers are DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. They're proven and they haven't shown crazy regression, so it's just tough to imagine, barring injury, Smith and Najigba really getting, 7, 8 targets a game. I think what we saw this game is probably going to be what we see, unless he catches a touchdown. This is going to be, I don't want to say a higher end performance by him, but it's going to be a normal for what we can expect, at least as the number 3 receiver there.
Yeah, before I get into any fantasy evaluation of this game, I just want to say I have a personal bone to pick with the NFC West. The Niners. You guys can't kick a 41-yard game-winning field goal to make the Browns 2-3. The Seahawks. You guys had 3 opportunities at the very least to win that game. I hate you guys. You guys could have made the Bengals and the Browns deep in the hole, but no. That, like I said, there's a personal bone to pick. Niners and Seahawks. I hope you both have terrible seasons for that reason alone. But as far as Jackson Smith-Njigba, one thing that did give me a little bit of confidence in this one was not all of his targets were like at or behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh my God, they're throwing the ball to him down the field finally. Geno Smith seemed to have kind of a fetish for throwing it to the other team more than his own. So that kind of limited things, but good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the most productive player on the Seahawks offense fantasy-wise was Ken Walker. 19 carries, 62 yards, a touchdown, 3 catches on 3 targets, 27 yards, 17.9 fantasy points, 76% of snaps. We've talked about it week in and week out. If you're still holding Charbonnet, let him go. I guess unless you're a Ken Walker owner and you're wanting that handcuff, it's Ken Walker's backfield. I honestly thought Charbonnet was going to get a little more involvement than what we've seen, but again, we have not seen it, and that's kind of outside of Bijan. We're seeing it with Jahmyr Gibbs, who the Lions spent a lot more capital on than the Seahawks did with Charbonnet. So it's just time. Unless you have the handcuff and you're still holding him, please let him go. There are better options out there.
There are guys who are actually going to be on the field that, like, I'm willing to bet in a lot of leagues, Kareem Hunt is out there, and he's going to offer you a lot more than Zach Charbonnet will.
Yeah. The Seahawks tight ends, Parkinson was their number 1 tight end. I'm not going to say anything more on that. Noah Fant. It's just, I mean, that's just is what it is. the Bengals side of the ball, you know, Joe Burrow, again, the Bengals did what I've seen them do, and they scored 2 touchdowns to start the game very early, and then proceeded to score 3 points the rest of the game. You start off Joe Burrow's crazy hot to start the game, and then you look at his finishing stats, and it's 24 of 35, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick, 14.8 fantasy points. It's another disappointing week, and it's the Bengals just haven't been able to do it consistently through the game. I mean, Joe Burrow had the good week against the Cardinals, but outside of that, it's just, I mean, when you see Joe Burrow complete 24 passes and it's only for 184 yards and you have Jamar Chase out there, you're just kind of like, I don't know. Um, Speaking of Jamar, he had 6 catches for 80 yards, 13 targets, 14 fantasy points. It's a solid week. He got the
I
volume.
need I need to get on Joe Burrow's head real quick. Why
Please
the hell
do.
are you throwing touchdowns to a guy whose last name I can't even pronounce?
Yeah.
We ain't signed up for this.
Yeah.
Isiaslovas? The hell's wrong with you? Man, T. Higgins is out there, man. Damn. All right, I'm done, but
Yeah, I mean, on that note, before I get into T, I'll get into Tyler Boyd because he's the other guy who caught a touchdown. And without the touchdown, I mean, 7 targets for Tyler Boyd, caught all 7 of them for 38 yards. Why are we throwing the ball 5 yards average per catch? Like, you have, I can't even, I don't even
man,
know.
I thought we were seeing like after last week, like, oh, they're gonna start throwing the ball down the field more. Oh,
No,
like the Bengals are
no.
nah, they're still on the same old bullshit. Let me throw it like 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. I thought Joe Burrow was healthy. What's the deal, Bengals?
I
What is the deal? I don't know what's going on. They're going on bye this week, so hopefully, not for
hope
real life football purposes. I hope they don't figure nothing out. I hope they stay like this. But for fantasy purposes,
this is the
I hope y'all
time.
get your
This
shit
is
straight.
it,
This
man.
is the time, like, because I don't know what's going on. This is ridiculous, man. Like,
Yeah,
Joe Mixon?
yeah. Tyler Boyd
He's like
finished.
damn near not even flex worthy at the, like, come on, man.
No.
What is going on?
Tyler Boyd finishes the number one wide receiver for the Bengals in this game. Speaking, lastly in that receiving room, T. Higgins, he played 54% of snaps. He saw 4 targets. He caught 2 of them for 20 yards, 4 fantasy points. Who knows with the rib? He was able to play in this one again. Hopefully they have the bye. They come out after the bye. Hopefully he's healthy and back to T. Higgins. It's just been scary for the Bengals all around offensively. This is another game where realistically their defense wins them the game, only allowing 13, while the Bengals can only score 17. Should be one of the highest powered offenses in the league. Joe Mixon has been very, very, very mids. He was drafted.
Bro, I'm not even gonna lie right now. They got the bye. Their first 2 games coming off of that bye are San Francisco and Buffalo.
Yeah.
I'm worried.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, Joe Mixon right now is the running back 19. And that's scary because
Under Jerome Ford.
and on top of that, we've seen all the injuries for running backs, really every position. Joe Mixon has not been injured. That's an RB19 healthy through the first 6 weeks. It's scary. I mean, he finished this game 12 carries, 38 yards, 3 catches on 4 targets, 24 yards, 9.2 fantasy points. He's not giving you 5 fantasy points or less, but where you drafted him, he's consistently given you like 9, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that range. It's just, I don't know. It's just tough. The Bengals as a whole, even Jamar, I mean, he had, the crazy week against the Cardinals. It's just, it all starts with Joe Burrow, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're lying and saying he's fully healthy and he's not. If the play calling's been different this year, I can't even have an answer for you. When you're looking at fantasy teams to tie your wagon to, the Bengals are damn near at the top of that list, and they have taken that wagon and drove it straight off the cliff for you.
I mean, this Seahawks defense isn't terrible, But the first 3 weeks of the season, they gave up 30 points to the Rams, 31 points to the Lions, and 27 points to the Carolina Panthers.
Yep. And the Bengals put up 17 at home.
I don't think there's enough discussion being had about how it's like, yeah, before we were hearing, oh, it's Joe Burrow calf, da da da. I'm not hearing anything right now. I'm not hearing anything about like what is going on in Cincinnati, because why are you only putting up 17 points at home against Seattle?
Yeah.
You had one good game against the Cardinals and everything's just forgotten about. I don't know. There's issues here, and we're 6 games into the season now. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. You're looking at guys like Joe Mixon, Jamar, he's been solid. But you're looking at guys like Mixon, Jamar, T, Burrow, all guys you're drafted crazy high, and they just haven't produced. And we talk about, don't get tied to the name. But for whatever reason, for this team specifically, I feel like it's just awkwardly hard not to, because they've been so successful. I say they have the bye. I don't know if I'm shopping Mixon. I might be. I really might be. And I'm waiting to see how they look week 8 after the bye. And if they don't look good,
honestly,
it's
man,
tough.
If you have a chance, I'd say if you have a chance to move Mixon like on his bye before he goes out and plays San Francisco and Buffalo.
Yeah. Not the worst idea. No.
I don't know what it's going to be looking like after 2 weeks. So you might lose your opportunity to move him for a better running back entirely. And that's what I'm saying. It's like we haven't seen anything so great out of Cincinnati's offense aside from the week against the Cardinals. I don't know what's saying that these next 2 weeks after the bye against San Francisco and Buffalo, like to be honest with T. Higgins, I started him this past week because I was in a bad position as far as matchups and anything anyways. And I'm thinking, okay, Seahawks are fairly good against the run and bad against the pass. I think the Bengals will come out and have not an easy time passing the ball, but they will be able to move it. But no, that was not the case. And I am benching T. Higgins until he gives me a solid week.
Yeah.
I'm not playing this game.
No, it's just not worth it. But I mean, did you have anything else?
No, I've about said all I need to say about that organization.
Okay, well, I mean, that's going to do it for this one. Especially on the Bengals side of the ball, I know they're coming into the bye. If you have questions on who you should pick up and start in Joe Burrow's absence this week, if you're thinking about trading Mixon, Jamar, T, anyone on that Bengals side or the Seahawks, drop a comment, ask the question, ask for advice. We'll give you our best advice with the information we're given. And I mean, as always, we appreciate the support, and stay tuned for the next one.